age of the dragons is over. For 3,000 years they ruled the air, the land, the waters, and the Underdark. For 3,000 years, the lesser races, as they called us, cowered as slaves. When Dragon Killer, a dwarvish hero, killed Sangvadax in the mountains of Lakal, the dragon's rule was finally at an end. Drow, elf, dwarf, and man united their power and banished the dragons to a parallel plane, trapping them there with the mighty anchors. It has been 300 years since the last dragon flew in the air or skulked in the shadows, and peace has endured, though it has been hard-forged. When the Drow Empire defeated Nicadaxeous the Great, they seized all of the dwarf lands in the Underdark. Not willing to return it, the war twixt Drow and dwarf seemed inevitable. Massive armies massed on the Damnedach plain, ready to destroy one another. As luck would have it, though certainly a dark and evil luck such as Rax himself might curse upon us, the Grath Empire invaded Gochtolach. Their mighty warships crossing the Fogadach Channel with speed, they took the dwarves by surprise. United in their common hatred for the Hobgoblin army, the Drow and Dwarven forces faced the invaders in the Battle of the Black Day. Once triumphant, the Drow were granted the Underdark lands of the dwarves for a period of 200 years. But let us not speak of dark days. Let us instead go on a journey across the great world of Braxia. Since we have spoken of the dwarves, let us begin there. The great plains that surround the 3 clan fortresses is a sight to see in summer, as the wild flowers glow in the sunlight. Caer Bratach, Caer Lochlin, and Caer Breoch are the centres of all dwarfdom. From here, the dwarf clan lords control their territory from Liffit Bay in the west to the Pass of Gragan in the east, from the tip of Morbech Lee in the south to the Galasarach Anchor in the north. Theirs is a fair land. The people are a delight and are open to trade and skill exchange. They do obsess over mines. The Blahi Mountains are riddled with shafts that sink as near the Underdark as they dare. Their neighbours are terrible and fierce, the mighty Sjet Empire. If the dwarves had grievance with the Drow, the Sjet elves with their cold black eyes and olive skins had proven time and again the masters of their domain. The massive deserts of Tanab, Akisadab, and Sajakaman hold little water, but vast wealth. Gold is rumoured to sit in the sands, waiting for the adventurers to simply walk past and pick it up. Ruled over by the Sjet Pharaoh, the Empire was the first liberated from the dragons, as their wizards are rumoured to hold powerful magics at their command. The people, though, in general, are open and willing to trade. The spires of Menemhep are rumoured to house 1,000 concubines. Of little importance to the known worlds in the south is the kingdom of Chunga. Mostly barren wastes and stretches of cold tundra, the kings of the Chungda are neither powerful nor wealthy. These yak folk trade in furs and silver, but take little heed of the affairs of man. Tenlo Pan, one of their few permanent settlements, is home to one of the oldest libraries in the world, if you can stomach the rancid smell of their yak-fat candles. Drakenmore. You won't find a more cursed land, ruled by the 8 dark dukes. Vampires, the lot of them. The land was cursed by the Druids of Century. The very forests were gifted with undeath. Trees the size of fortresses suddenly attack, seeking the blood of any unwary enough to stray into their territory. The dukes fight amongst themselves, and although trade with Drakenmore is heavily restricted, Valdivansk and Damcask are known for their blood peaches, wine, and deadwood sticky treats on a stick. The proud Cathar sodality. Worshippers of Kala, this fractured island is home to the most beautiful people, temples, and lakes in all the world. Though don't stray, or you'll find yourself branded into their caste system, which is diabolical. Every year 1,000 Cathar drown themselves in the Rajathi River to raise the rank of their family up a single tier. Taimori Bay and its overlord city of Ranthambore is permanently stained orange from the spice that is dumped into it. Spices, silks, and other luxurious items flow from the sodality into the rest of the world. Hickwin, master inventor and the only known gnome to die of old age, has lent his name to the gnomish states that dot the lands around the Ribfinican Ocean. The gnomes are a distracted people, and although their leaders direct their efforts, they remain fiercely independent. Each gnome belongs to an order, of which there are 12. Each order is devoted to a certain focus of development and research. There are rumors of a 13th order, though what its purpose might be will remain a mystery. As we head south, we cross into the lands of barbarians and man. Fort Brast, a permanently snow-covered settlement, is where the barbarians hold much of their court. The rest of the time they are nomads, lost to the great forests of Eldon. They are fierce warriors, living off of strength and might. Their more fragile cousins, the humans, control the greatest landmass in all Braxia. From the great city of Milken in the north to Lankan in the east to Grantham Castle in the south, the humans have dominated their lands. Fair traders, wily combatants, and devout followers of all of the gods, the Brenyai kingdom is arguably the greatest nation in Braxia for diversity, wealth, and greed. And as we speak of greed, the Tiefling cabals that inhabit the lone island in the Innocent Sea are a dark cove of evil, magic, and corruption. Dominating the island is the volcano known as Dagalk Infernus, and it is a constant reminder of death. Only 2 cities survive on the island, and neither make for a fun visit. Hechbiafkafor and Zagrash Kahor are ancient and twisted cities. The Tieflings might welcome you with open arms, but beware their tails, for they hold knives. The shattered isles of the Grath Empire speak of the shattered souls who dwell there. The Grath, hobgoblins, have forged an empire of evil out of the ruins of a once proud Elvish kingdom of Ethen Mordeth. Now hellish fortresses and citadels lord over the lands. Ausdach Castle, the most feared fortress in all of Braxia, sits like a giant skull over the Ausen plains, a monument to death. Trade with the Grath is forbidden, though most merchants would not back away from the possibilities. Grath craftsmanship is second to none, and their armor is the lightest and hardest in the world. As if the Dragon Lords had decided to locate their slaves according to evil, the Aspis Desert just north of the Grath is home to the insidious young tea kingdom of Assisi. Few venture into the trackless deserts, and none have visited the capital of Shangshas and returned. The elves count their borders safe, thanks to the Quirth Mountains. Ithane Vasul, the Empire of Sul-Wethendir, the first Elvish emperor since the Age of the Dragons, is a shining jewel of a land. Massive forests protect the Elvish castles and towns, and large rivers bring trade from across the world. The elves, however, have divided into their old distinctions, the Haudath and the Dolandir. The Haudath, or the privileged, rule the empire, whilst the Dolandir work the lands and serve the empire. One is allocated position at birth, though not through paternal lines, but through an intricate naming system. A Haudath might have been born to a Dolandir, or vice versa. Personally, I think the elves are mad. To the north of the elves, the goblin tribes do well to compete for most insane species of Braxia. Their few cities are no more than collections of mud and dung, and what little they produce usually ends up broken or eaten before it can be traded. Pispin and Grobflung are the most commonly visited cities, though for what reason I cannot fathom. Quicksink Sea shines bright at night due to the silver dust contained in its waters. Perhaps that's why. The goblin tribes remain independent from the orc hordes, which works for both. The hordes are constantly at war with one another and seldom look beyond their borders. Kranos Prog, Rauwang, and Dach vie for control of the Hakhoch hunting grounds. The hunting grounds are home to the massive Makul beasts. Millions roam the plains, and only the truly mighty dare hunt them. Little is known of Sanctuary, save that it is controlled by the Druids and their hierophant Gdantifin. The Wallen Forest completely rings the island off from visitors. The only known port of safety is Deneth Wold. What the Druids do in their sanctuary remains unknown, but what is certain, all forms of lycanthropes, satyrs, and centaurs protect their coasts from invasion. And that is Braxia. Well, at least what can be said from looking at an old map.